Welcome to Lifetime Partner Show, where I host and interview health practitioners and entrepreneurs around the world. Educating is what I love to do, and to give back and sharing and networking is how we achieve this, and where we create relationships for life. So I'm your host today, Letitia, and today we have Dr. Daniel Kirschner all the way from Sarasota, Florida. Is that correct, in USA?
That's right.
Oh, great. So how did we meet? Just a little bit for the audience so they know how we met. Dr. Daniel is, do you like Dr. Daniel or Dr. Dan?
Yeah, you can call me Dr. Dan. That's fine.
Okay,
That's
Dan.
short and sweet.
Perfect. So like most, in these times we met online through a mutual colleague, or I like to call him a friend and coach, Dr. Pompa. And we have been watching each other's work in the areas of fasting and energy medicine. And I thought it was time that we connect. So here we are today. And just to share our knowledge with the viewers here. And it was really just an excuse, actually, to dissect your brain, Dr. Dan. And
well, I'm excited you reached out.
Yeah, for my own curiosity as well. And really just where human health is going in the future. And getting rid or eliminating that, taking the sick care really into healthcare. So I'm really thrilled to have you here today. I'd like you to tell us a little bit about your journey, really how it all started for you. I know you come from a line of a medical minded family, and really just explain.
Our friend Dr. Pompa often says, "Live it to lead it," and I feel like I've been doing that my whole life. Growing up, son of a chiropractor, I grew up watching my father, work on patients, in his office as a child. I pretty much grew up at the office watching him do that. And, some people wonder what their dharma is or what their calling is. And I knew, I knew that was what I was going to do. And, it's evolved over time. I'm now 25 years almost now practicing as a chiropractor, and that has evolved as well. So it's my practice is totally different than I imagined it as a child. But I'm so grateful for everything that I've been blessed with, and grateful to touch so many lives and work with some incredible practitioners. So um, I I feel like this is my purpose. This is my ultimate calling.
Yeah, so 20 years is quite a long time. And have you been in Florida that whole time as well, or?
Yeah, so I started practicing in '97 after I did my formal study in Dallas, Texas at Parker University, um, and joined my father's practice. I didn't start dabbling in anything until I got out of school. My father was like, he wanted me to be trained. He didn't want me to like kind of learn as I went, but I was totally inspired by him, and um, really called to share my passion with patients at a very young age. So I went through school as fast as I could and got out and started getting my hands on people. And when I first started, it was exhausting. I was energetically drained at the end of every day. And now, with practice and maturity, as I evolved as a practitioner, I've now, now I feel like I could do it all day, every day, and I'm never tired. I feel so good. And my energy is so high. Um, and I continue to become more and more passionate as I gain more skills and implement more things. And reaching out to patients online and having this talk with you is a part of that. So I'm really excited and and glad to share my knowledge with as many people as I can.
Yeah, and I think if you're on purpose, I've talked to a lot of other doctors and other people, other practitioners, and usually when you're on purpose, your energy management will balance that out anyway. So that's what drives you, right? That's what keeps you going, and sharing that with, like you say, with your patients. So it's an ongoing journey as well.
Absolutely. When I started to take some of Dr. Dan Pompa's practices to myself, again, living it to lead it. When I started to do more detox and fasting and intermittent fasting and a ketogenic lifestyle with my patients, when I started to not just not just get adjustments, but when I started to incorporate modalities like low level laser and other types of energy medicines, bringing balance and alignment to the body, it all started to make sense. It all started to fit together. And I had a discussion with one of my patients today who, you know, one of their family members is having a health crisis, and it was kind of like awakening this idea that maybe they need to start taking better care of themselves. And I too experienced that about 6 or 7 years ago when my mom passed from an aggressive dementia. And we all wondered how this started, how this happened. And, you know, she had struggled her whole life with irritable bowel and gut issues and anxiety and, you know, problems with her weight. And so, like so many people, she did her best to deal with it. And most of the time, it was covering up with medication or just, you know, ignoring it. And unfortunately, that inflammation was working on not just her gut, not just her stomach, but it was working on her brain. And we found out far too late that that inflammation, you know, contributed greatly to her frontal temporal dementia, which ultimately took her life at a very young age, at 63. So you know, that was a huge wake up call for me, and that was about the time that I started looking for bigger answers, answers beyond an adjustment. And it's funny because Dr. Pompa's book, which which I happen to have right here, Beyond Fasting.
Mm.
Like I wanted to go far beyond what I had learned at school and what I had been doing in my practice. So that's when I really started to get into detox and biohacking and just really taking an incredible amount of time and energy learning as much as I could so I could help people in a new way, because I knew if I had these tools 20 years ago, you know, things would be different, yeah, for a lot of people. So that's a big inspiration for me.
Yeah, there you go. Um, yeah, because that was actually one of my questions a bit later, is how you did transition and how you knew. So that gives me a really good understanding of what actually how you pivoted and looking for um, those deeper the deeper questions that need to be answered, that I find, or that people tend to go, when you're in the health industry, you tend to, you're taken to where I believe you're meant to be and what the calling is, because you're looking for those deeper answers, and then those, they then start to appear. Um,
I practice here in Sarasota, and I work closely with my schoolmate, Doctor and colleague, Dr. John Lawrence, and he's also here in Sarasota. He and Dr. Pompa also have been collaborating more and more, and it's so amazing how you're exactly right. Like everything just kind of leads you on the right path and to fulfill your higher purpose. And you have to realize that that is true, that is happening all the time to all of us. And it's just, are we going to take that charge? Are we going to take that assignment and maximize our efforts towards our higher purpose?
yeah, like, are we actually going to step
So
up?
thankful and grateful for you asking me to share that.
That's okay. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate you doing that too. It's it's some personal details about yourself. So if we can all learn from that, then yeah, I appreciate that. So from here, I mean, I've worked with Dr. Dan as well, actually, Dr. Pompa. So for quite a few years, that's how my pathway was led to him as well. So as far as fasting and detoxing is concerned, I implemented it myself for a good 3 years, and still do. So, some questions for you, really. I mean, you're putting it into practice, into your actual practice as well, and you're seeing your patients and you're seeing people change and transform. For me, it's just me. I just focusing on me and listening to people like you and talking to you inspires me to just keep going every day as well. And the more I can educate and the more I can have, people like yourselves on my show, and the more we can talk about it, then, we're impacting the world as well. So, in your
Yeah,
opinion, yeah, yeah.
I think that people are so hungry for this information and what we're going to dive deeper into here. And again, times are creating that, and this pandemic that's affected the whole world has caused everybody to have a big reawakening and reset, and they're reevaluating their life, their health, their spiritual relationships with each other, and 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 spirit. And I feel like now is the time to start doing that. uh, One of the things that all religions agree on is fasting, and I love that. And having fasted many times, and making fasting a lifestyle is, it's not challenging. It's not, for some people it's very scary and frightening, because they're just so caught up with fear about the unknown, and about they don't really understand physiologically what's happening. And so our culture is so centered on availability of food, and accessibility to instant relief and gratification at all times. And the idea of depriving yourself of something like food for for a few hours, let alone a few days, is kind of like heresy. And I feel like it's such a healing thing, and it is so profound once you get into it, and start to study it. And all the scientific research points to it being an incredible healing power. So that's one of the reasons why I decided not just to implement it in my own life, but also to encourage patients to adopt that strategy as well. Yeah, so it's been very successful.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, but I have, I was raised Catholic, so, Lent and the build up to Easter, my father always, used Lent as a form of fasting, whether that was from, something that you ate and took for granted, whether it was giving up something. I've always had that practice in my life, but I don't think I truly spiritually connected with it until I started working with Dr. Pompa. I mean, it really gave me a different understanding when you completely go without food. So you are just water fasting. The difference and the connection that you have, just not just with yourself, but with everything else, and how it can completely transform. So yeah, I mean, fasting would be is a big part of my life now. So I suppose questions though that I ask for you, and more for the viewers as well, is it can be quite scary. A lot of people have false information about fasting, and they don't quite understand. But would you? I mean, is it advisable that someone that has never done it before, would you recommend that they, one, either just do it alone, or two, would you recommend that they have people around them that do understand it? Um,
I would always encourage patients who are new to fasting to go take it slow, and don't try to bite off, metaphorically, more than you can chew. Meaning, there's lots of reasons to fast, which we can talk about in just a moment.
yeah.
But I always recommend patients, like, I you know I heard Dr. Pompa speak about it, and when he was sharing the benefits and changing how you can just change your relationship with food, it made so much sense to me, and so I couldn't get enough of it. And so the first step on my path to detoxifying my body and getting healthier was to change my relationship with food. And that started by fasting. And so intermittent fasting, when you begin to go longer and longer and close down your eating window, which is the beginning of my fast keto reset program that I do every 7 weeks with patients. We take it very slow. The first thing we do is we stop snacking. Then we limit to 3 meals a day, and then we break up with sugar, and then we slowly start to squeeze and compress that eating window. And so this is a process that happens over like a month. It's not something that you just jump into. Otherwise, it's going to be quite shocking and painful for the body. And that's how people get turned off to it. I think is they try to do too much all at once, and that can be frightening and scary.
Okay, perfect.
And a little bit of science as well. I always hear autophagy. I mean, I know about autophagy. I know some of the viewers here may not, though. So,
So autophagy is basically it's how your body gets rid of bad cells and gets rid of broken DNA. Autophagy is a process that really kicks in. It really starts to really ramp up after about 24 hours of fasting, but it can start sooner than that. And as you go deeper and deeper into your fast, it continues to build. But autophagy is just your body literally eating itself. But your body's intelligent. It doesn't eat, there's a big misconception that when you fast, you're going to lose a lot of muscle,
mm,
when in fact that's not the case, because your body's super intelligent and it wants to preserve as much muscle as possible. So that's the last thing it wants to eat. But if there is injured cells or injured proteins, then your body's going to intuitively and quite intelligently select that first. So that is how the body is designed to absorb and remodel those senescent cells, and autophagy is the process by which that happens. And you know um, the Nobel Prize winning scientists that identified that process, it's continuing to be studied and looked at more and more for the benefits. A lot of the benefit that I want to talk about with my patients, it's not just losing weight or getting into skinny jeans that is important when we're talking about fasting. We're changing your body's metabolism. We're actually creating metabolic flexibility so that your body can shift from burning glucose or sugars and to burn fat. And by burning fat, now you're using ketones for energy. And as those ketones become more and more elevated, it not only does it reset your microbiome, does it resets your gut, but those ketones also are very therapeutic and healing to your nervous system, especially your brain. And they also activate stem cells, which stem cells are what your body uses to go out and repair those bad cells and rebuild your body in a new and incredible way. So those are the like key things that getting into ketosis, because when you refer to your diet as a keto diet, keto is not a diet. Keto is a metabolic process. When you're in ketosis, you're burning fat, and by burning fat, you're getting rid of those stores of energy that you've saved for a lean time. And we are designed for lean times. And as you know, by being a human on the planet, when we're faced with adversity, we get stronger, and that's exactly what the body does. It gets stronger when you challenge it a little bit, and we all need to be challenged.
perfect. I like how you use that analogy, because really, I think people think, oh, keto, keto, they hear keto diet, and they think it is just a diet. And it is, but I like how you've explained it as it's actually a metabolic process. It is, if you shift your mindset to see it that way, I think that really helps you to understand the whole process behind it, and that there is, your body is actually changing, it's actually adapting, it's actually the cells in your body are detoxing and they're changing so that you can live. I mean, I think what got me excited as soon as I heard 120-year lifestyle, and you want to be healthy and comfortable, but that to me was really exciting that we have the science potentially.
Yeah. So on that note, longevity is a huge deal for me. I mean, my father, who's still practicing he's about to turn 80 in May. He
Wow.
still practices, and like I want to be around, vital and being able to affect lives and do the same thing.
Mm.
So if I'm going to last another 30 or 40 or 50 years, then yeah, I need to take good care of my body. And when I'm doing physicals on younger people, I always try, try to remind them that, hey, this is your one body, and you need to take good care of it. And that's the one thing that universally patients will come in and they'll say, man, if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have took better care of myself. They say that every single day. And I'm like, yeah, but it's never too late to start. And you can remodel your body right now.
Yeah.
And there's no reason not to. And the only thing that holds them back is their habits, their current relationship with food and themselves. And you can literally turn on your longevity genes and turn off bad genes. Literally, you can reset your cells and your DNA when you shift your metabolism and you start, following some simple axioms. So it is a lifestyle. It is a way of relating to food and seeing your body as an engine, as a metabolic machine that needs to, shift in and out of different modes. You don't you, you don't want to, put sugar in your gas tank in your car because your car won't run right. But so why would you put sugar in your body? Like, it just doesn't make sense. You want to burn clean as possible, and when you're burning ketones, that's the cleanest energy source that you can have. But that's not the only thing. I mean, you have to change it up. You have to challenge your body, and that's where the variation comes in.
Yeah.
And during my program, I always teach patients how to keep that variation and how to keep that metabolic flexibility alive and well. And just like you can't do the same workout every day, you shouldn't be eating the same diet or the same kind of food every single day. And I think that's people get in ruts. They fixate and they kind of get in the habit of eating the same 5 to 10 foods every single week. And it's just it's a recipe for disaster metabolically and biologically. You have to have variety, you have to have change. And the only way to keep your body healing is to continue to work on it. And in our environment, in our modern world, where our franken foods here in the United States, we are the highest consumers of all genetic things genetically modified. There's so many toxins in the world, not just chemical, but also electromagnetic, and all of that is taking a toll on our cells and our DNA in a huge way. And this is why we're struggling with so many chronic diseases, so many cancers, so many autoimmune issues, is because our bodies aren't designed for it. And in the history of evolution, the changes that we've made to our diet in the last couple hundred years is just a little blip, and our DNA and our bodies aren't ready for it, and that's why we're having so much trouble.
Fascinating. Just how we evolve anyway, and how we have control or power over that depending on what we put in to source our fuel. So it's really exciting that we have these breakthroughs in the science right now. Um,
I encourage my patients to use food as medicine as much as possible, and I would rather them, uh, you know, pay the farmer than pay the pharmacy. That's a great saying. You know, when I'm 65 or 70, I don't want to be on any I'm not on any meds now. I don't want to be on any meds then. Um, so I always encourage patients to, um, you know, seek out the most natural source of medicine first, and that would be food.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my business coach always says to me, like anything, you have to practice business as you would practice health, as you would practice food choices. Everything is practice. Everything that you do will then help you transition to where you want to be, and how you can achieve that. So yeah, definitely, that's a great saying. Pay the farmer instead of the pharmacy. I really like that. Um, I mean, there's obviously times that we need it, and we're grateful to have it. But ultimately, um, we're better off as natural as possible. Mm?
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So, are you ready for a few more questions? How's
Yes,
yeah.
definitely. What else should we dive into?
Well, we've talked a little bit about autophagy now. We've understood the cell. We're understanding now how we need to really transfer the sugar to fat. Um, I suppose a big question I would ask you, because you do practice this daily, what is your typical sort of daily routine? Do you eat 3 meals a day with snacks in between?
No, no, not
No.
at all. As a matter of fact, I encourage people to not do that.
Okay.
Unless it was maybe like a feast day. Um, so getting back to basics, if you were gonna start to shift your relationship with food, the first thing you would want to do would be to break up with sugar. Sugar in all its forms,
That's it.
especially
Breaking
processed, yeah, especially processed sugars. You know, 100 years ago, there was no such thing as high fructose corn syrup, and it's probably the most toxic and cheap kind of sweetener that you can get. And not only is it not normal or biologically healthy, your body doesn't know what to do with it, but it's also laced with a lot of toxicity, including glyphosate, because high fructose corn syrup is from corn, which is also genetically modified, and it's doused with chemicals. So,
Are they
you
using
know,
it worldwide? Is it a worldwide thing, or is it just but mainly in the US? Like,
well, it's ubiquitous here in the United States.
mm,
I know that there are other countries that are a little bit more sensitive, and I know that some of the big um, food corporations have to reformulate their products. I think I was looking at a post where Heinz 57 ketchup
Heinz?
it's Heinz, yeah, Heinz
Yeah.
ketchup. Different. It's different in the United States versus like the UK.
Hmm.
And that's because they don't allow the same kinds of sweeteners and sugars and artificial things outside of the United States that they do inside the United States.
Right.
The labeling is different as well.
Yeah.
Um, so why do we put up with it here in the United States? I don't know. But we do.
But you do.
And
Mm.
yeah, so going organic and clean with your food, eating more whole, real food is my first recommendation for people to start their shift or their change.
Yeah. So
Change the
really,
quality.
clearing out, just completely clear out probably most of their kitchens.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much throw everything in your cabinet away and start over.
Yeah.
For the most part. And that takes time. That's a process. I think that happens over the course of several months. I don't encourage people to do that all in one day, but I say pick one thing and start to clean it up, whether it be, one meal, one dish, one recipe. Take that and try to make it healthier and cleaner and more whole. And then sodas and artificial sweeteners, chemicals, all those kinds of things are like the first thing that I recommend people do when they're trying to like move in this healthier way. And then the second thing I would recommend that they do is stop drinking sugary drinks,
Yeah.
including alcohol. And I know that's going to be a taboo subject for some people because they're like, oh, well, I don't mind eating healthy, Dan, but please don't take away my wine, or
Yeah.
please don't take away my beer, or please don't take away my, you
Because that's
know,
their medication. They've just exchanged it for something else, and then people exchange that for food, and then people use that as their medication. So we're actually breaking
right.
some behaviors over and above too.
Yeah. So changing your relationship with food and changing how you cope with life, whether it be stress, some people eat, in response to stress. Some people self-medicate with alcohol or sugar or both. And these strategies are very harmful for us. And getting to the deeper root of why you're doing that is part of the answer. And the other part of the answer is just realizing that and understanding enough science to know, hey, when I do this, I'm inflaming my tissues, I'm inflaming my cells. When I eat unhealthy fats, I'm disrupting my cell membranes and causing harm to my body and free radical damage. So when you start mitigating or lowering your body's exposure to these things, you start to feel better. You start to feel amazing. And then once you start to break up with sugar and these other bad substances, then and only then would I say, is it really, really smart to then start um, beginning to dive deeper into these longer fasts? Because if you go into a long fast and you're sick and you're toxic, you're going to have incredible, reactions and it's going to be a very uncomfortable experience, and that's really going to turn people off. So I always try to like mitigate, look at where somebody's at and meet them where they're at. And that's, I think, really key. So there's not one size, it's not a one size fits all kind of program or a recommendation, but it's start where you're at and start with what you can fix first. So
Mhm.
those are some of the things that I focus on immediately when I start working with a client.
Perfect. And I think that's a good thing to raise. I was a little bit different, and I tend to just go all in. If I'm going to do something, I'll go all in, and then I sort of deal with it afterwards. But
Hmm.
you know,
Some people can do that, but you're
yeah,
kind of the exception, not the rule. Most people
yeah.
they get
But it's
they
not
get
always.
overwhelmed very quickly.
Yeah, and it's not always the right way because, to be fair, you have to come back anyway to still get the fundamentals right. And the principles right, even if you have even though I did go all in,
Hmm.
I've still had to come back to then sort of move forward again. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good point to make, is that
Yeah. So
it can be quite
so one
overwhelming.
once you start compressing your eating window and you start freeing up some of your energy from digestion
Mm,
to other things, that's when a lot of the healing starts. And that's a process we call energy diversion. So energy diversion is when, instead of using um, ATP to and energy to
ATP.
digest,
Yeah,
your body can actually use energy to heal.
yeah.
And this is powerful. This happens pretty quick too. I've had some patients in the first 30 days of doing fasting, intermittent fasting and detox, where they start to feel incredible reductions in the amount of pain. And
Mm,
so when I have an acute case, you know, like an acute low back, or somebody comes in with headaches or other types of things,
yeah.
a lot of my questions on that initial visit have to do with diet and lifestyle, because you know a lot of what they do makes it worse. It's not it's they don't do it consciously, but they do it nonetheless. And so by shifting those habits and those routines, we'll have a much faster improvement in their overall health and situation.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, no,
important.
yeah, it is important. And you're right, with working with the nervous system, which is what you do as a chiropractor too. You know, and I've been very blessed to be able to work with chiropractors myself. So you do start to see the inflammation and how it affects everything. So
Yeah, so diet is the thing that I give people at home to do. In the office, when we're working hands-on with patients, we'll use energy modalities like low-level laser to stimulate mitochondria and stimulate healing.
is that
And we
like red
so
as well?
red, yeah, we use a lot of class 3 red lasers, low-level lasers, and those energies communicate cell to cell. The body that communicates with light cell to cell as well. We're not just chemical bags of, chemicals interacting. The cells in our bodies aren't just like chemicals interacting biochemically. There's an energetic component to the body, and that's how lasers can affect and modulate healing so quickly. And I see that in my practice every day. So, um, you know, when you address the structure with your hands and your instruments, when you address the physiology with nutrition and diet and lifestyle, and then when you address the energetic component with lasers and other types of energy modalities, you get like this synergistic effect that creates healing in a very, very powerful way. And that's why I kind of like to distinguish myself from, the kind of doctor who just goes in and, adjusts the same 7 segments and then leaves.
Even though that's still powerful. I do.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Well,
no doubt about it.
yeah,
There's
it's
no
like
doubt about it. It's
that.
been working like that for well over 100 years. But
Yeah.
um, but yeah, the art and science of chiropractic and what we do has definitely evolved
Mm.
since I started.
There you go.
And it keeps evolving, I think, and it will. I think people are really hungry for that kind of um, holistic view of the body. They don't just want another magic pill to make things go away or numb out, which I think has been the answer. But the answer isn't always in one pill. It's not. It's not. The answer to anything is not just one little pill. It's just not how the body works.
Oh,
Too complicated.
yeah. Oh, that's perfect. Really, just yes, we are constantly evolving, and why would the body be any different? Uh, you know, so and how we adapt as well makes a lot of sense. All right, so moving on then. Now, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. Just really what your goals are, even if it's this year, whether it's, have you got any peer-reviewed articles that you're currently writing, or is that not your
So
pay, or like?
So right now, I'm working hands-on with patients in the office, and I'm also um,
Because you've pivoted.
implementing.
Yeah.
Yeah. This year,
Yeah.
at the beginning of the year, I'm beginning to do more virtual consulting with patients and doing more coaching, like what we're talking about.
Mhm.
So I have, if you were to go to my Instagram page, at Dr. Dan Kirschner, you'd see links there under my bio where I'm doing an online detoxification program. And I'm working with clients one-on-one with that, but also in small groups.
Yeah.
And then I love doing my Fast Keto Reset program. It's a 7-week program that takes people from literally from never having fasted before to a 5-day water fast.
Brilliant.
And that is so powerful. And I love starting patients there. And a lot of times after they do that, then they're ready for detox. So, and that's kind of my story. That was how I got into it. Like I started to fast and see the changes.
Mm.
And after 3 or 4 months of that, I was like, wow, this fasting stuff is really cool. I'm feeling better than I ever have.
Yeah.
My mind and my thoughts and my energy are all better. How much better could it get? And then I'm like, oh, well, Dr. Dan's like, well, you got to detox now. And I'm like, okay. So I started to do that. And I've been doing true cellular detox with my patients now for almost 4 years, 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah, that's
And I love seeing the transformations with patients,
mm.
not just in pain, but also in just their their confidence and
Because
their
you
mental their mental faculties start to change. And it was after that, and when I started to do when I after I did my first big long fast, that was when I really started to realize that this isn't just a physical transformation. This isn't just like, oh, I lost 20, 25 pounds and I feel better. This has started to become a mental and like spiritual transformation as well. Because when you detox your body and you start to detox your cells, and then you start to detox your thoughts and your relationships and your activities. And pretty soon it's starting to influence your whole world. And if you can be open to that, and if you can be comfortable enough for that kind of change, then you're going to experience some radical shifts in your life. And that's what I've found over the last 4 or 5 years, is that I couldn't imagine my life right now 5 years ago. Like I couldn't do what I do. So I love sharing this with people, because it will transform your life, literally.
literally, that's totally correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's totally correct. So, yeah, I can't speak highly enough of it anyway. But I'm glad you said that how you shift and your daily routines will just they will just transform as you do. And
One
you,
of the things I always tell my patients when I'm working with them, when we going into especially the ones that are doing my 7 week program, as we approach the 5 day fast, which is, by the way, starting tomorrow.
yeah,
I'm taking a group. I'm
how
taking a group.
how like you know
The
how is it that
synchronicity's there.
we connected last week? It wasn't even last week. Yes, it was like literally
Yeah, it was a
last
few
week.
days ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
and
was a few
then
days
this
ago. You reach
all has
out.
happened in like 3-4 days, and then it's just
Yeah.
coincided. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so tonight will be my last supper, and then I won't eat again for 5 days. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really excited about it. And there's some really cool people in my group this session, and I'm looking forward to some major shifts and transformations. And I always try to set an intention, like what's the goal here? What are the higher intentions behind the fast? And you know, letting go of things that you've been carrying that you don't need to carry anymore is one of the things that I always like to do. What's not serving me? What am I holding on to that I need to shed or let go of? Those are, you know, it's not just pounds, it's not just fat. There's things that you're holding on to. And the more I'm diving into this, the more I encourage patients to do meditation or prayer, or things like yoga. These things are very powerful, not just because they've been around for thousands of years, but because it's how we tap into our true selves and our true identities. And um, we are all here to heal in our different ways. And I feel like um, fasting and these other things that we're talking about are ways for us to get there, ways for us to accelerate that transformation. And um so I think that's why people are really grabbing hold of this information and embracing it now more than ever.
Yeah, now more than ever. And you know, if there are any of my listeners or your listeners, because you will share this, how best then is for them to get in contact with you directly, just through your Instagram, as you mentioned, or
Yeah, that would be the best. Under my under my Instagram bio, there's a link tree, and you can reach out and contact me there. That's probably the fastest and best way to do it.
okay.
um so, or you can email me at drdkirschner@gmail.com. You can always email me questions there. On my Instagram, I usually will announce when the next class is starting, and of course, you can reach out to me for detox
Brilliant.
protocols as well. So
Yeah. And I mean, that really just leads into the next straight away is that, if people do have questions, you have, I'm so excited really to have you come and co-moderate a new room that I've created on Clubhouse.
yes,
So,
Clubhouse is so
yeah,
fun, and
yeah,
I hope people, if they hear this interview, will
yeah,
also hop on Clubhouse, because that platform, I think, really lends itself to open discussions like this, um, and you can take the stage and ask any question you like in that forum, and so it's so beautiful and so fun, and much better way to spend your evening than scrolling aimlessly on Facebook.
yeah. And I mean, this has been an amazing interview, and we've got some like great knowledge, some words of wisdom. But sometimes there are those questions, and having Clubhouse is that platform where, we have experts like yourself, like within the health industry. I've also got some celebrity guests coming in, and really just where people can come and actually ask you the questions they have. And all this advice is for free. You're giving up your time, you're giving up your evenings. This is after you've already been with patients during the day, but it's where you can actually now share really what you're passionate about, really giving that advice for people that really need to ask the questions they have and don't have that facility. So I really thank you for
It's
that. So I'm really excited.
it's a pleasure, and Letitia, I'm so thankful for you, and so thankful for all the work you're doing, and helping to shine a light on
Mm.
this information that people are literally dying to hear. Like, people are literally dying because they don't have it,
Yeah.
and that needs to stop.
Hmm.
That needs to stop, because
Well,
um, life can be different. Life can be better, and I want to help as many people as I can. And I know using these platforms, we can touch so many more people, because I can only see so many people in a day,
yeah.
with my hands. But if I can share a little bit more of this information with people on the worldwide stage,
Mhm.
I'm super excited to do so. And I know you're way off in New Zealand, and it's already tomorrow there, and
Where?
that's blows my mind.
Where are you? No.
That blows my mind that it's already the next day there. But
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's kind of cool.
so cool.
But yeah, I mean, it's that was really what it was for me. It was one of those moments where you have that intense feeling like the whole world is gonna see me if I do this. Like I don't know. Like it was
Hey, I think,
I was completely petrified. But then it was like, but there was just something behind me. It's like, but they need to hear it. So it's sort of like
yeah,
overcome that fear of really nothing. I mean,
yeah. The
it's,
world needs this information, and we need to get it out. So
yeah, and I love you
thank
guys
you for
so
helping me
much.
get it
Like
there.
I love you guys so much. Like I know the work you put in and what goes on behind the scenes and it's just you're up all hours of the night and so it's really exciting. So I can't wait. The show is going to be what Wednesdays at 2 p.m. for us here in New Zealand. I think in your time EST it's going to be 8 p.m. If we can have
Tuesday
you
at 8.
on,
Yeah.
yeah, we can have you there for an hour. That would be great. If we can have you on for 10 hours. I've heard of some of these rooms running for 24, 48 hours. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that, but I'm
Yeah,
sure
I don't know.
we can have you for an hour or so. It would be good.
That would be great. We'll try to wrangle some more people in there.
Yeah, I think that's
Sounds great.
fascinating. So great. So you are going to be having your last meal tonight.
Tonight's the last supper, and then off to the 5-day fast. But again, if you want to join me, you're welcome. You can
Yeah.
start tomorrow. But keep an eye out. I rotate these 7-week programs every few months. So
Perfect.
I try to do them. I try to do an ongoing class all the time, and I invite back my former graduates to come participate if they want, to create like a little community, and it's always really fun when they do. So so yeah, if people have more questions about fasting or ketosis or detoxification or any of the things we talked about, they can just, slide into my DM on Instagram, and we'll make sure they get taken care of.
Perfect. And I mean, there's just one last thing. I mean, even if you are, even if you think your life is great and you think you're eating healthy, but you actually just want to take your actual sports, or if you just want to take that next step. So this is definitely for not just for if you're wanting to lose weight, correct? I mean, it is also for if you
Oh,
want to actually take your achievements and your even further.
that
You know,
that's
I think,
that's one of the things that I think is a big misconception, that
yeah,
fasting is just for weight loss. It's totally not. It's for performance enhancement. It's for healing.
yes,
It's for um, extending your life
yeah,
and ridding yourself of toxins and disease. And there's a lot of people much smarter and brighter than I am that are, signaling and writing these amazing papers that are showing us that this is anti-cancer, this is um, anti-disease, this is like life extending. And I've in my own life, I've seen a profound change in my physical and mental ability. But I have to say, most importantly, the shift for me continues to be mental. So, like, meaning my brain starting to function better and better. My
yeah.
thoughts are clearer and clearer, and I'm so grateful for the shift and transformations that this lifestyle's afforded me.
That's amazing.
All right. Well, that's it for today. I'm afraid we could talk for probably a lot longer,
Yeah,
and
we
we
could.
will be now that we've it's finally starting to collaborate. So I am excited for what this year brings. Um, all the best for your fast. I know you'll be fine. For everybody that will be in your group. So that's exciting too. I may be that person in your next round. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing it
Awesome.
tomorrow, but definitely for the next round. I actually fasted about 3-4 weeks ago, so I try to do it if I can every couple of months. But this year, definitely,
Perfect.
I need
All
to.
right, we'll do it. We'll do it real soon. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing everything with me. I
it's all
appreciate it.
right. And thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate that.
My
And
pleasure,
I
Letitia. My
will be
pleasure.
talking to you in a couple of days then.
Sounds good. See you on the clubhouse.
All right. Any last words? We're okay?
No, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share this information. And again, I look forward to helping as many people as I can. Thank you so
Perfect.
much.
All right. I will see you in a couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you.